In this video, we're going to talk through one of the most common intermediate plays, Dagger. You'll see this mostly at the NFL and college level, but if you can get the protection to hold up, this can hit pretty big at lower levels as well. So today I'm going to show you two different examples of how you can run this, and then we're going to hop into the diagrams and break it down a little bit more. And for those of you who are extra nerdy about this stuff and actually make it to the end of the video, I'm going to share a cool resource with you that you can use to immediately implement into your offense and improve your playbook. But first, let's hop into the video. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at this dagger variation. So he's going to run this clear route through the middle, however you want to call it, a through route, clear out, doesn't really matter. He's going to run the dig, okay? And then what you're going to end up having is you have to have something in the flats over here. So you could do this as a chip. He works the flat. You could do this as a crosser. You could do this as I think he runs a chip and then he ends up settling and playing in space over here, kind of in the stick area. So either way, you have to have something that clears out. You have to have that deep dig, and depending on the speed of your receivers, you're going to do this at different depths here, but 15 is usually a pretty solid number for that. And then we're going to have this chip and we're working into the flats. The reason that this has to be deep enough is because you need to get behind the backers, right? So if you have the backers playing around this level, this is the depth that we need to get to. We don't want to break at 10 and be in front of them or right in their vision. We need to be behind them. So let's take a look at how this whole thing plays out. We're going to have the through route by 15. He gets jacked up at the line of scrimmage. Great job by the defense here, really screwing up the timing of this. And then you end up having the whoever's playing the hook in this situation, we'd like him to really commit to this. He does a good job. You know, this is a third and long situation, so he does a good job not committing too much, because if he does, that's where the window would be, okay? But he ends up playing here. It's not really a good window for the offense to throw in. Also, one of the things to note with this, Dagger is only on the one side of the field. Through route, dig, chip, get to the flats or hitch, whatever. That's Dagger over here, okay? That's Dagger. Up here, we have something totally different. They're going to run a curl with a chip and then get to the flats. So essentially the way that you can treat this is curl is usually a good one high beater. So if you get one high safety, right, if they rotate down, which is what they do, you work over and play the curl concept. So he's going to work over to the middle. He's going to work down, play the hook. Now we have a middle field close situation. All right, so see this, middle field closed. If they played in a too high safety look and he played back, then the dagger becomes a little bit more, a good look, okay? But in this case, they don't have that, so he ends up taking the curl that's attached to it, okay? So a big thing to walk away with is at this level, right, they can have this fancy protection. It's really not that complicated. You essentially just use a big on big and just add a chip tag to it, or you just have that be anytime you call chip, it's automatic big on big. This is what I do with my offense. So for my guys, when we call this Billy, is big on big, but if we wanted to call this as the chip, we would just say casino or poker or whatever it is that you want to call it. And then they're going to chip, get to whatever their routes are, easy way to implement it. And then you could build out your dagger concept to automatically have these, the backside of, hey, this is a 2 high beater and this is a 1 high beater. You could build it out like that. I really like that style. So the quarterback has a solution no matter what the coverage is going to be, okay? So this is a way to do it. He does a good job moving in the pocket, throwing this here. All right, now let's take a look at another version of this. Now this is the one that I actually have in my offense. I really like this version. So what you end up having is your number 3 receiver. Let me go back to the start here. Number 3 receiver is going to run a deep Dover route, okay? Your single receiver is in a nasty alignment, tighter alignment. He's going to run the drag. So that gets us our flat over here. He's going to run the through route, and he's going to run the dig. Okay, so this is our through, this is our dig, this is our check down over here in the flats. Okay, and then you can have a chip on this side getting to the flats, so you always have the high-low on whoever's over here. So if you do decide that you want to look to this Dover, which is usually only good in a man coverage situation, then you at least have a check down in the flats opposite if you want to. Now this is a unique play here because I'm not sure exactly why Brady does this. He just decides that his guy is better than this guy. I mean, there's nothing really that tells you this is the throw to make, but I'm also not going to really question Tom Brady's decision making. this is a really good ball. It's a one-on-one opportunity, and he, completes this. This was a big moment in this playoff game here. But just conceptually, this is what I want you to look at. You have the through route. We have the dig working here. So he looks like he's slow right now. But we end up having this. I mean, he's not slow. He's 6 foot, whatever, 6'5". So it looks like it, but he's moving. All right, so we've got the dig here at 15-ish. We've got the check down coming here. Realistically, I would expect him to throw this. If everybody bails, the defense is getting out of here, I would expect to take the check down here. Okay, but I think because he has to move off platform and he sees that this is a one-on-one situation, he just puts a lot of air under it, right? But I think if he were able to sit cleanly in the pocket, Brady was known for this, just a great decision maker. So he probably would have snuck this down into the flats, checked it down a little bit earlier. The dig does come open a little bit late, but it's real cloudy because you can't really tell what these guys are actually doing. This guy right here potentially could jump on this and stay on it, even though he kind of drifts opposite. But conceptually, this is a nice little fancy version where you have the man beater over here. You've got your dagger concept here, and you have your check down there. Okay, so this is another way to do this. Alrighty, and now let's hop into the diagram so I can show you a few cool variations that you can run. So as we talked about, here's the dagger concept. Okay, you've got the dig, you've got the clear out, this through route here, and you've got this check down here in the flats. And then again, as I mentioned before, you can do anything you want on this side. There was another clip where the Dolphins actually did this, and they just put Tyreek Hill here, okay? And he just ran a fade, and it was a game-winning touchdown in that situation. That's not a two high beater on this side and a one high beater on this side. It's basically, if we get two high safeties, we come here. If we get a one high safety, just throw it to the best athlete in the NFL, right? You can do that with your team. You just have to say, who's my best player, who's my biggest jump ball receiver, whatever it is that you want to do. You can put a hitch and go, you can put a comeback and go, you could put a post corner, whatever it is that you want to have. If it's a one-on-one shot play, you can add that to this side. One of my favorite one-on-one shot plays, by the way, is a corner and up, okay? If you ever are scouting against me, that is the you'll see that. You'll see me throw some corner and ups. Very difficult to defend. Out and up as well. Those are difficult. Also, the nice thing is it gives the quarterback time to look over here, see what this safety on the backside is doing. Free, not an E. Free. See what he's doing. If we look off and we're looking over here, we can see him in our vision, get him to cheat in, and then it really is a true one-on-one situation with the corner and the X there. So anyways, again, cut this in half. This is dagger. These three routes, okay? Those three routes of the dagger concept. It clears out the middle of the field, has the dig come underneath of that. We've got 14 to 16-yard dig. I always tell my athletes to kind of control their speed here so they make sure they go under the clear out. We do not want the dig to be faster. As we saw in the video, this guy could get jacked up and he's going to have to take the best release here, but maybe he gets jacked up and we cannot have this player beat him to the punch. Another thing you can always do with these is you could have him play off the ball and have him play on the ball. It doesn't really matter. You don't want to get too predictable with that though, so just keep that in mind. And then let's go ahead and take a look at a couple other examples of this here. So this is the one that we saw from Tampa Bay, okay, with Brady here, where he just essentially threw this one up as a jump ball. But this is the option that I really like, okay? So there's a ton of stuff going on this, but essentially what we have is, again, we've got that deep over, right? This is how I set it up in the playbook, so my players know this situation here. So we've got the deep over, and if we don't have that, then we can always come to this, and then we can come to the check down. Or, that's going to be in a man coverage situation, or we go here, then we have the dig, and then we have this. So in a too high safety look, this is what we're going to be looking for. In a man coverage look, this is what we want to be going with, okay? So you always have that, and you always have the check down here on the outside, okay? This is an automatic tightening the alignment. This is something that you can do in your offense as well, where if you call a play like this and your X, if he's smart enough and he knows, I don't need to have this doesn't need to be trips right nasty. This should just be trips right. And then we just essentially, he knows I need to tighten up my alignment. If I need to get to this opposite hash here, I can't do that from all the way out here. So I'm going to tighten up my alignment a little bit and then you go from there. So that's one way to set that up. And here's another example that I really like. This is a way in which you can set up your offense so the number, whoever this receiver is, and you could do this in two different ways. You could have your T be outside and your X will automatically tighten up. But in this case, if we ever run this from a 3-by-2, my number 2 receiver is going to be running this drag. Okay, the number 1 is going to be running the hitch. So essentially, if you look at it from here, we've got this high-low. It's the same deal, right? It's the same exact deal. We're just getting there from a different location. What I always like to do with my athletes is if I tell them, hey, we need somebody in the flats over here. If you're already lined up here, what can you do? Okay, they might say, okay, maybe I run a stay route. Yeah, you could do that technically if you want to. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, but I like to say, okay, we'll just run the hitch here. That's an easier thing. So if we ever have a situation where a player needs to get to the flats, let's say if we had the T line up over here, he would probably run a hitch. Okay, that's what he would do. Or maybe we have him run a whip on that play or a stay route. Either way, this is how you can look at your offense. You need to get something clearing out, you need to get the dig, and then you need something in the flats. How you get there is completely up to you. There's a million different ways you can get there, as we saw in just 2 variations. If you watch a ton of clips of Dagger, you'll see this in so many different ways. It doesn't matter. Think conceptually. How do we get those 3 areas, those 3 jobs fulfilled? Okay, and in this case, if we line somebody up, we could be a 4-by-1 and still run Dagger. All right, so 4-by-1, and he would run the hitch. He'd have this, boom, 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 and then he could run the hitch, he could run the whip, he could run the stay route. Doesn't really matter, okay? So that's basically it here. Alrighty, so that's about it for Dagger. Now, hopefully you've got a solid understanding of this so you can actually implement some of these things into your offense. And as I said before, if you made it this far, I have a really cool resource that I want to share with you. This is something that I provide for the coaches inside my 21-day OC course, which helps you set up and optimize all of your coaching systems. So we talk about things like game planning, the offseason process, player development. In total, there's 7 different systems. This resource is a self-assessment that helps you identify gaps in your knowledge and within your playbook creation system. Once you go through this, you'll know exactly what you need to work on to optimize your offensive playbook. If you're looking at this from a coaching development perspective, this type of resource is insanely valuable. And because you put in the effort to watch this video all the way through to the end, I want to give it to you completely for free. So if you want to grab that, click the link below and just tell me where to send it, and I'll send it right over. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.